my friends, it's Jerry Rasco back with you with another Amazing Spider-Man art retrospective video. Today we're going to be looking at the Amazing Spider-Man number 4. If this is the first video that you've seen, I just want to let you know there is a playlist here on my YouTube channel with all of the art retrospective videos that I've done so far. I go back all the way to the very beginning with Amazing Fantasy 15. So if you have an opportunity, I would recommend go back and check those out. And you'll see the history of Spider-Man reviewed in an artistic perspective from the beginning all the way so far here to issue number 4. Today is an interesting one. Another new villain. So we're still in that phase of introducing brand new villains. And Spidey kind of having to overcome some obstacles, which is the best storytelling there is, I guess, right? If your hero isn't overcoming a difficult villain or an obstacle, how much of a hero are they? So without further ado, let's get to the comic and let's get looking at it. So here we go. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 4. So as I always mention, these are scanned versions of the original comic book. So this is a PDF version of a scan of that comic. So this is what it would have looked like when you bought it from the newsstand back in the day. Obviously, it's a little worse for wear, but it's an original. So it's not a reprint. It's not a recolor. This is exactly how it looked like back in the day. That also means as we flip through, we're going to see ads and other things of the time, which is kind of interesting to see how things have changed. So let's start here with the cover. Again, I'm going to talk about my theory that early Spider-Man, the design is red and black. You're probably tired of hearing me say this at this point. But again, we have the whole cover. Spidey's entire costume is red and black. There's other blue in the comic, and here on the cover. The pants are blue. There's no reason. The sky has blue on it. There's no reason, if we wanted Spider-Man to be red and blue, that he couldn't be colored red and blue. But it does keep it simple. It keeps it a nice silhouette. The black really helps pop off of the sand of the Sandman, who's the character here. But even then, if it was blue, I think that would work too, right? The blue and yellow would work. So again, it's another thing that makes me say I think that was Steve Ditko's original plan, was just this concept of a red and black costume, and that over time it transitioned to blue. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Only time will tell. So interesting as well, this is a montage. So you've got a little bit of a dialogue here, and how can Spider-Man defeat a foe who can't be injured? It's the Sandman. This is sort of a montage, which is an interesting choice, right? Normally we're used to cover images that are just one bold, exciting image, and here we have this it's storytelling. Different kind of choice, interesting concept. Don't know if it pays off really, but just something that we haven't seen before. So we'll jump on in, and here we have the opening splash page, which again has been consistent throughout our review of these Spider-Man comics. I will say, for me personally, I think this is a better cover than the cover. Like, if you had this image, take out some of this language down here, so make it a little bigger, put the Amazing Spider-Man logo at the top, I think this is a fantastic cover, right? You've got Spidey, you've got the cops, he's clearly a criminal, he's robbing the bank, but he's turning to sand, and you could still have the tagline maybe at the bottom, nothing can stop the Sandman. I mean, this tells you what's going to happen without exactly giving away the ending. I really like this, and to me, this is the cover. I'd almost rather see this as the splash page, and this is the cover. But who knows, right? Somebody made that decision, whether that's Stan or Steve Ditko. Somebody decided this is how they were going to do it. But I think this is a great cover. Wow. This is a lot of panels. So far, I don't know that we've seen this many panels before. So this is a 9-panel grid. Jack Kirby worked in 9-panel grids quite a bit. A lot of older comic book artists worked in 9-panel grids a lot. It does allow you to get a lot of story beats in there, but you can see how small every drawing is. So there's not a lot of detail. There's certainly not a lot of action. It doesn't work for those kinds of situations or images. So not my favorite, certainly, but it is what it is. From a storytelling perspective, we see a Spider-Man is a menace trope. And so what's happened is Spidey's been a hero, but there's been a few times where, because he wears a full mask, nobody knows who he is. He doesn't stick around. He's not a hero like the Fantastic Four, who save the world, or their faces are out for everybody to see. People don't really know who Spidey is. And then you have somebody like J. Jonah Jameson, who has a personal grudge against Spider-Man because he upstaged his son back in issue 1. That tells us that he's going to badmouth Spidey whenever possible. So now, even though Spidey stops these guys before they commit a crime, there's no evidence they actually committed a crime, and so they call for the police, and they're like, he attacked us. So Spidey is a menace, and he's tired of it, and he's frustrated with J. Jonah Jameson, his articles, his editorials, and so he's dealing with that. And now he swings away, and he sees another guy acting squirrely, like a little suspicious. So he comes in. There's our spider signal again that we saw in issue number 3. Alerting, hey, Spider-Man is on the case. And now we see the first thing of the Sandman. And we see a little bit about what he can do. He's certainly strong enough to shrug off Spidey. He can turn into sand to get away. He turns into sand when you try to punch him. But then he also turns into like concrete when he wants to. He can bend his body around. Interesting stuff there. And then here we have... I called it Secret Identity Woes. So his mask rips. And oh no. And in this imaginary montage he has, what will happen if he stops Sandman, but his mask is ripped? And he thinks that the Sandman is going to be able to identify him and tell the world who Spider-Man is. And my question is, how would he? Sandman has no idea who Peter Parker is. He doesn't have ID on his face. The best that the Sandman could do would be to describe him as a 5'10", 18 to 25 Caucasian male with short brown hair. Covers a lot of people. I understand it's storytelling. We have to find a way for Peter to get away. We have to add some pathos in terms of Spidey has something he has to worry about, his secret identity, and then turning Aunt May into a beggar because he's driven out of town or thrown in jail for being Spider-Man. So he runs away, and then we see more Sandman powers. So he can turn himself fully into sand and back again. Kind of a neat idea. I can imagine very hard concept to draw right? It's just little dots with some yellow coloring around it. How do you draw sand? That's a tough one, right? Because you can't draw all the little grains, but you have to hint at the concept. So I think Steve Ditko does a great job doing it. Definitely not an easy thing to do. Sandman using his powers in other ways, very cool. Spidey, yeah, I really like his powers and how he uses them. It's pretty neat. Creative, right? He turns his finger into a lock. He can go under gates, that kind of stuff. And then we have another trope here of, again, Spidey sewing his costume up. This happens time and again. His costume gets wrecked. It gets, dirty, torn, whatever. He either has to fix it or sew himself a new one. And he constantly complains about how he's not good at sewing, but eventually you'd think he does it enough times. He should be able to do it. He made it in the first place. Pretty impressive if you ask me, but, okay. The other thing I said, again, so many panels. So we've got 4 across the top, 3 in the middle, so there's 7. And really, these are all individual panels, even though there aren't lines breaking them up. The images are separated. So you have another 4 down here. Whew, so 11 panels in one page. That is a lot of small storytelling. It's all there, and this montage of the Sandman escaping prison to where he gets irradiated and then gets his powers, it's nice. It's all there. You see the prison bars, you see the prison in the background. It's him swimming, him running with guns to escape, and then the danger keep out, and he's on a beach going to escape. It's good storytelling, but man, it's small and so many panels. There's the explosion, and now he has his powers. Let's see. What do we have? Oh, yeah. So this is page... Yeah, okay. So again, not much exciting here. Peter's still working on his costume, and he doesn't want Aunt May to know, so he has to cover her up with a robe to pretend that he's sick, so he can have the free time he needs to fix his mask. Fixes his mask, and now he's off to school again. He's great. Everything is good. Peter has to ask J. Jonah Jameson for some money. Another trope of poor Peter, meaning he's financially struggling. Peter never really catches a break financially, and he's always looking for some money. Then we have here, again, a lot of panels, a lot of dialogue, a lot of verbiage from Stan. Maybe even more so than we've seen to date. Let's go back real quick, but every page is just so many panels. There's so much little storytelling going on that it's crazy. I don't think we've seen a Spider-Man comic yet with this many panels throughout the whole book. Crazy. Nice foreshadowing here at the end. We've got Peter has to go down to the basement to help. I think he's cleaning up some science equipment because he wasn't paying attention, and he sees a janitor who's dealing with this brand new king-size vacuum. Foreshadowing. So, spoilers. We're reviewing them. Spoilers ahead. The vacuum is going to come into play, and it's going to be used to help defeat Sandman. Makes sense. He could have, at the time, just discovered it during their final battle and gone, ooh, I can use this. But instead, they set it up that this is something that's there. I like that. I like it better than trying to put it in later. It's just a nice piece of storytelling. Some ads. Let's see here. The line work on the Sandman's face. So that I'm going to blow up on this panel. I think this is really cool. Something that wasn't really obvious, because I don't think we had a real close-up of Sandman before. So far you can see there's all these, the line work is little hatches, which, to be honest, some artists just draw that way. They, instead of shadows being solid black, they'll use a lot of hatching and stuff. And to be honest, I had not really thought about it too much to begin with. But then when you see the Sandman up close next to other people, you can see the line work is still solid. The black shadows are solid, but his face is drawn almost exclusively with little tick marks. Why? Because he's grainy. He's made up of sand. He doesn't look like a regular person that then turns into sand. He has this sort of grainy texture all the time, and that is a really, really neat visual storytelling technique. He is different than everybody else, and it's obvious from the get-go. This guy can't just hide in public. He has to cover up because he looks like a grainy sand person. Really cool and a neat way of doing it. Now, again, some people just draw this way. I think if you get into later years of artists like Frank Miller, he draws regular people like this as just his style. But this is specifically, you could tell the difference because nobody else is drawn in that method. So nice. Again, what Steve does so well of making his characters unique. The designs are there, and every character looks a little different. So great stuff there. Let's see. Some nice. I like this. This is a great punch. Again, now we finally have broken the super panel grid, and we've got this great horizontal punch. There's a lot of power to that punch as Spidey is bouncing in. You know, other superheroes, a Captain America, might come in with just more of a straight punch. He might have thrown his shield in. Certainly the Hulk is going to punch, or Thor. Spidey bounces in and is horizontal to the ground as he punches Sandman. Really neat. Again, storytelling and unique to Spider-Man. I like it a lot. He is learned from their first fight, so he's changing up his tactics a little bit. And then again here, another trope. Spidey's here. Where's Peter? Peter's a coward, or Peter's doing this or that. So poor Peter, he's here actually saving the day and saving all of his classmates, and here they are dogging on him. But that's his lot in life, I guess, right? That's the woes of a secret identity. So we're going to go to the next page, and great acrobatics. He's bouncing around out of reach, so he's jumping up, he's upside down, he's crawling on walls and ceilings, he's jumping up to the basketball backboard. I like all the action a lot. Still a grid, at least we've got some bigger panels at the top to vary it up a little bit, and then smaller panels when the action sort of slows down, right? Spidey covers him up with a bunch of webs, and he's sort of held for a second, and then the sand starts flowing between the threads of his webbing. So I like the slowdown. I'm okay with that. And the bigger panels here are nice. Again, I really like that. One more thing to note, like, it's very easy to just look at the action here. So you see Spidey's jumping, Sandman's trying to crush him. These two figures in the foreground give us, again, more depth in a very small and 2D space. So you have somebody's running across. I'm assuming this is a young lady, and then you have somebody here in a Converse sneaker as well. So those feet provide us with a foreground. Spider-Man and Sandman are in the middle ground, and then in the background we just have these little shapes. And I can zoom in a little here as well. You can see just enough to emphasize or to hint at people. Circles for heads, kind of shapes for some hair, a little dot, black dot for an eye, a little indent for a nose, some very simple legs, and you have a background of people running away. So you've got foreground, middle ground, background, all in a very small space, which is very, very nice. Steve Ditko, an excellent storyteller. Let's see. So now we're going to go to the next page. What do we got here? Oh, foreshortening on the giant hand. So actually, there's a couple of spaces there with some interesting foreshortening. So you have the hand coming at you, which is giant. So you have some of that, the scale, which is neat. It overlaps the doors. It shrinks away so that we can tell there's distance there, which is nice. And then Spidey, his arms are behind, so the door frame covers his hands, overlaps his hands, but then his feet overlap the door and the door frame, again giving us this space, this visual impression that it's distance there, which is some really nice, again, creation of three-dimensional space in a very small panel. So I like that quite a bit. What do we have here? Oh, again, good action. Like, how do you draw sand? Tough, right? Lots of little dots. The color helps, but then he's also different kinds of sand. Like, he can be like beach sand, but then he turns into quicksand, or he can become sort of like a, his head here is almost like a concrete type. So, again, a difficult challenge that Steve Ditko really does a great job in portraying. The thing I like about this is the stairs. These are some really nice stairs, and stairs are really difficult, or can be really difficult to draw correctly. When you see them, unless you're looking at an angle down down on the stairs, it's hard to see both the top of the stair that you're stepping on, and then the front of the stair. So you have a completely horizontal, completely vertical surface, and it repeats. And it's very easy, depending on the angle you're at, where maybe you only see the front versus the tread, or the top. If you look straight down, you're just going to see the top and not this vertical. So this is a nice mix of that, and you really get a sense that there's stairs there. So not always the easiest thing to draw, but Steve Ditko does a good job there. Let's see, and then we have Spidey smarts and the vacuum prevail. So again, he's more than just his superpowers. He's also smart. So he uses a drill, which he knows isn't going to hurt the Sandman, to get him to turn into particles that he can then suck up into this giant vacuum. So great use of brains. He gets him into the area where he knows the vacuum is, tricks him into doing what he wants, and then sucks him up into the vacuum. Very nice solution by a creative and smart superhero who can think on his feet. Then we have a nice shot of his utility belt. So you've got his spider signal, then you've got his camera and his web cartridges. So he realizes he hasn't taken any photos, so he has to sell photos to make money. So there's this montage of him faking the fight by just punching sand that he tosses in the air and using the timer to just take the pictures. Yeah, okay. So he justifies it. It's not really lying. He did fight Sandman, and it did kind of look like that. So he's just recreating this. So they're nice photos. I think that's very funny. And then here we go. This is a nice shot here. Again, the spider signal telling everybody, hey, I'm here. And then this is real nice. I like this wide shot. It breaks up these panels nicely. And you've got this really, really nice hero shot. You've got the flag, of course. So it's hinting, right? That's very heroic. His pose is heroic. The hand on one hip, the legs spread. He's got his hand resting on the tank that's contained the Sandman. And then he's up above, so the angle showing everybody down below, very small. Nice, again, heroic shot. you could take Spidey and you could replace him with Captain America and it would fit perfectly. Super heroic shot. Really, really nice angle. Something that I would like to see more of. I really like that a lot. And then to the next page, of course, he has to maintain his puny Parker image, is what I say. So here we go. So he's got he comes back. He's he's making a deal with Jonah. J. Jonah Jameson kind of ripping him off, but in the end it works. Peter's going to have some money, and Flash Thompson decides he's going to give him a hard time, and he's had enough. This guy's Spider-Man. He just fought a supervillain. He's going to punch Flash in the face finally, but he realizes, one, he's Spider-Man. He would crush this guy in a punch, and it might reveal his secret identity. So he's got to pretend to be meek and mild and go, never mind. And again, it hurts him, with the other kids. People are laughing at him, but this is, again, the price you pay for a secret identity. And then here we go. Everybody takes off. He's left all to himself. And of course, J. Jonah Jameson has turned the story into a knock against Spider-Man, using Peter's pictures to do it. So he's got this guilt of everybody hates me, nobody appreciates what I do. Why am I doing it? Well, and then it comes back, and he remembers there's great power comes great responsibility. He has to keep doing it, even if people aren't happy with it. So, very classic guilt trope that Peter lives through. It's not easy, but, that's, again, the perils of having a secret identity. So, there's the rest of the ads, and there's the rest of the book. So, we'll cut back to here. So, there we have The Amazing Spider-Man number 4. So I like the Sandman. I like the action. I think it's neat how Steve Ditko depicts sand and the sand powers. I think he's a really interesting character and presents a really neat set of problems for Spider-Man. But in terms of this issue and the art in this issue, it's not my favorite. Too many panels, for one. So much small, tiny moments, as opposed to using the canvas that you have, right, to depict more action or more interesting shots, combining. The thing we're always told as comic book artists, show, don't tell. And this is an issue that has a lot more telling than showing, in my opinion. So, perfectly good, great read, fun history of Spidey. We'll see what happens. In the next issue, we have issue number 5 preview. We will be looking at Spidey versus Doctor Doom. So this is the first time in the series where Spidey isn't facing a brand new villain of his own. Now he's actually fighting one of the Fantastic Four's villains. Really interesting. A lot of neat stuff happens here. Again, some really interesting Spidey tropes that continue throughout the history of the character. And again, we're seeing a Steve Ditko take on a very classic Jack Kirby creation in Doctor Doom. So be interested to see how they stack up. So thank you all for the video, or for watching the video. I appreciate your time. If you have any thoughts, if you have any questions, if you're a fan of Spidey, if you're a fan of Marvel, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I read all the comments on all the videos. I do appreciate them greatly. Also, if you enjoyed this, please like the video and think about subscribing to the channel. We're working on making these a weekly video series. You can see them all in the playlist that I've set up. as well as lots of other new content on my channel that has to do with all the other projects that I have going on, including my own comic book, M Squad. So check it out. I thank you so much, and I'll see you next time for another Spider-Man video. Thanks.